Hello everyone and welcome to the 2023 Australian Open review. The 2023 tennis season has started off with a bang, with many incredible matches and massive upsets as early as the second round. But before we begin the review, we first need to establish our pre-tournament contenders. The main talking point of this year's Australian Open is Djokovic finally being allowed to enter the country, and coming into the tournament he is an easy favorite, especially since he just won Adelaide and the Nitto ATP Finals. Number 1 ranked Carlos Alcaraz was forced to withdraw due to injury, moving reigning Aussie Open champ Nadal up to the number 1 seed. Home favorite Nick Kyrgios also had to pull out due to a knee injury, and would eventually have to have surgery and will likely be out until Indian Wells. Because Alcaraz pulled out, 3 players would now have a chance to take the number 1 spot in the rankings: Casper Ruud, Novak Djokovic, and Stefanos Tsitsipas. All 3 would take the top spot by winning the tournament, while Ruud would become the world number 1 if he reached the final and Djokovic or Tsitsipas didn't win the title. The players with the best odds to win the tournament are Djokovic, Ruud, and Medvedev, though a deep run from a lower ranked player would not be unthinkable. The round of 128 was basically void of any major upsets besides Berrettini, who lost to former Grand Slam champ Andy Murray in 5 sets. A loss which would cost the Italian 710 points and knock him out of the top 20 for the first time since 2019. Nadal had to win in 4 sets to move on, though to be fair he had a pretty tough first round assignment in Jack Draper. Musetti, Coric, and Kecmanovic all lost as well. Famous respecter of chair umpire's personal space Alexander Zverev, in his first match back since his freak injury at the French Open, barely managed to beat Juan Pablo Varillas in 5 sets to move on to the second round. While it's pretty impressive that he's quickly returning to his old form, this result pretty much confirmed that he's not going to make a deep run in this Australian Open. Like I mentioned though, pretty much every other seeded player won fairly easily to move on to the second round. As many of you may know, round 2 of this year's Aussie Open saw some of the most massive upsets of this past year, highlighted by defending champion Nadal losing in 3 sets to American Mackenzie McDonald. Yeah, I'm aware he got injured mid-match, but by then he was already losing 6-4, 5-3, and considering his poor form since Wimbledon, I don't think there was any chance for him to orchestrate a comeback. Nadal's injury should not take away from McDonald's masterclass performance, however, as the American did an incredible job keeping the number 1 seed back behind the baseline with his deep ground strokes and overall complete game. Overall, I don't think anyone should be surprised with this result, and if Rafa can't pull it together in the clay season, his career will just about be finished. The number 2 seeded Casper Ruud also lost in the second round to Jenson Brooksby, who admittedly played very well against the Norwegian. Unlike Nadal, Casper does not have any excuse for this loss and is further proving himself as the worst top 3 ranked player of all time. In his 2 Grand Slam Finals runs of 2022, he played a total of 2 top 20 ranked players before the final, and had easy draws overall in both Roland Garros and the US Open. In the championship matches themselves, he won a total of 1 set, and in the Roland Garros final specifically looked like he shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a tennis court. Ruud is much better suited as a 7th or 8th ranked player, but as of right now, in my opinion, he is far from deserving even a chance at becoming the number 1 ranked player in the world, but I digress. The upsets didn't stop there, as the Australian Alexei Popyrin, who only had 5 main tour victories last season, managed to overcome Taylor Fritz in a 5-setter that included 3 tiebreakers and lasted over 4 hours. Alexander Zverev also lost in the second round to Michael Mmoh. On top of all that, 14th seed Pablo Carreño Busta also bowed out in round 2, as did 23rd seed Diego Schwartzman. Jesus Christ. The second round also provided us with one of the best matches of the tournament, a 5-set marathon played between Murray and Kokkinakis, in which the former Grand Slam champion came back down 2 sets to love to win in the second longest Australian Open match of all time. The round of 32 was highlighted by Sebastian Korda defeating last year's Aussie Open finalist Daniil Medvedev in just 3 sets. Korda, who had just made the Adelaide final a couple weeks ago, played an incredible match versus the Russian and has emerged as a potential dark horse to make a deep run in the tournament. Andy Murray's campaign ended in the 3rd round as well, as he lost to Bautista Agut in 4. 11th seeded Cameron Norrie was taken down by Jiri Lehechka, further breaking open the draw. Former American collegiate stars Ben Shelton and JJ Wolf both managed to win their round of 32 matches to make their first ever Grand Slam round of 16 appearances. Incredibly, McDonald, Brooksby, Popyrin, and Mmoh all lost immediately after pulling off the biggest wins of their careers in the last round. The top 3 seeds left in the draw are Tsitsipas, Djokovic, and Rublev, with Djokovic still being the easy favorite to win the Open. The round of 16 saw the fall of even more title contenders. By far the biggest upset was Jiří Lehečka beating 6th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime in just 4 sets. Lehečka, who prior to this tournament had not won a match in the main draw of a major, continued his dream run with a near perfect performance against FAA, spearheaded by excellent net gain as he won 33 out of 41 net points throughout the match. Paris Masters champion Holger Rune fell in 5 sets to 5th seed Andrei Rublev. US Open semi-finalist Karen Khachanov also proceeded to the quarterfinals after beating Nishioka in 3 sets, a match which saw him win the first 14 games in a row and take the first 2 sets in just 46 minutes. Sebastian Korda once again pulled off an upset, this time against 10th seeded Hubert Hurkacz, in an intense back-and-forth 5-setter. Korda would now play in his first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal, which would be against Karen Khachanov. Ben Shelton beat JJ Wolf in 5 sets to move on to his first career major quarterfinal, which would end up boosting him over 40 spots up in the rankings. Tommy Paul managed to beat Roberto Bautista Agut, meaning either him or Shelton would claim a spot in the semifinals. Notorious bathroom user Stefanos Tsitsipas managed to beat Jannik Sinner in a heated 5-set match to reach his 6th major quarterfinal, where he would face the red-hot Lehečka. Djokovic cruised past Alex de Minaur, dropping just 5 games in what was arguably one of the most dominant performances of the tournament so far. However, in the next round, Djokovic would face a tough test in 5th seed Andrei Rublev, who had beaten multiple quality opponents in prior rounds. Contrary to previous rounds, the Australian Open quarterfinals produced little surprises, as every match was won by the higher seeded player. Tommy Paul ended Ben Shelton's dream run in 4 sets to move into his first career Grand Slam semifinal, a result which would propel the American into the top 20 for the first time in his career. Jiří Lehečka's run also ended in the quarterfinals, as Tsitsipas managed to defeat him in 3 sets to move into his second consecutive Aussie Open semifinal. Sebastian Korda's Australian Open campaign would also end in the quarterfinals, as he had to retire halfway into the 3rd set against Khachanov. A pretty disappointing turn of events considering the match was highly competitive up until around midway through the 2nd set. This would now be Khachanov's 2nd Grand Slam semi-final appearance in a row, pushing the Russian all the way up to 13th in the rankings, clearly proving he still has the potential to return to his incredible form that won him the Paris Masters back in 2018. Novak Djokovic, in what was a pretty big surprise to most, annihilated Rublev in just 3 sets, putting on an absolute masterclass of a performance for the 2nd match in a row, and would now face Tommy Paul in the semis. The semifinals began with Tsitsipas vs Khachanov. Coming into the match, Tsitsipas has looked good all tournament and is the favorite, but we all know how inconsistent he can be at times. On the other side, Karen Khachanov is playing in his 2nd straight Grand Slam semifinals and has looked pretty solid in every one of his matches. And Khachanov would play well throughout the match, even coming back down 5-3 and saving a pair of match points to win the 3rd set. But ultimately, Tsitsipas was just better than the Russian, taking the match in 4 sets to move into his 2nd career Grand Slam final. The other semi-final match would be played by Novak Djokovic and Tommy Paul, and realistically, I don't think anyone had high hopes for Paul to win. Djokovic had beaten multiple quality opponents easily leading up to this round, and looked like a lock to reach the final. The first set of the match was actually decently close at 7-5 Djokovic, but the Serbian powered through the final 2 sets 6-1, 6-2 to reach yet another Australian Open final. Tsitsipas and Djokovic would now play for the Australian Open title, and for the world #1 ranking. The odds aren't looking much in Stefanos' favor, especially since Djokovic literally hasn't lost a match in Australia since 2018. But who knows, maybe he'll be able to pull off an upset for the ages. I think everyone who watched the final match can agree that from start to finish, this was Djokovic's title to win. The Serbian played an almost perfect game to take down Tsitsipas in just 3 sets, winning his record equalizing 22nd Grand Slam title and his record extending 10th Australian Open title. 1 year after being denied entry into the country, Djokovic has reclaimed the Norman Brooks Cup and, in effect, the #1 rank in the world, all while reportedly playing with a 3-centimeter tear in his hamstring. As for Tsitsipas, in my opinion, this is one of his more impressive performances in a tournament in recent memory, and I think he is well deserving of the #3 spot in the rankings. Djokovic was just the better player, and at the moment, is undoubtedly the best player in the world. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.